Hello there. We have tin can DIYs today using the IOD Holiday Autumn Cottage mold. It's got a pumpkin. I'm Whitney with Crafty Thoughts and Whatnots. Let's jump into the craft room. Now, start with said tin can. This is bigger than a soup can, smaller than a coffee can. Any of it, find your can. After you remove said contents and open the bottom, you will now squoosh it. You should be squooshing this with a probably a rubber hammer or something somewhere in a garage, responsibly. I don't have said items, so I found hammer and piece of wood and bang on table. See? Very rudimentary. Anyone can do it. Anyone can do this. You can find a can and beat the life out of it. You want to smoosh the bottom. So, I've got a can opener that you're supposed to like fold over edges so like sharp edges aren't a problem, but just be careful in case you don't. And just make sure you smoosh it like this. So we're making little pockets, right? So set that aside. Now I've got 2 tuna cans here. I buy my albacore tuna from Kroger. Please, not sponsored. Please don't block me because, I'm human and I buy groceries. Anyways, use 2 tuna cans that make you happy. And I'm also going to use a Dollar Tree candle holder. And I'm going to stuff this here because I don't want it to be hollow. But in order to get glass and metal to stick together, I have yet to find something that works because even Star Bond, after time, gives up on it. I've used Star Bond before in my other videos, and maybe a year or two later, there's some things I made with some mason jar rings. They popped off. So as much as I dislike having to have patience, E6000 has worked forever when it comes to bonding glass and metal. So we're going to use E6000. I put the Dollar Tree candle stick upside down, traced it out, put the E6000 in it. Now because we have styrofoam in the middle there, I've got more contact it. And then I let it sit. I had patience. So now here we have all of our clean cans, and these are our projects we're going to do. Now here is the beautiful new mold. This is part of the IOD 2020 collections called Autumn Cottage. Look at that pumpkin. And it's got a cute little stem on it. Now, I get all of my IOD products from Lori at miltonsdaughter.com. There is a link and a code in my description below. Awesome things will happen. Take a peek at our website. There are incentive programs for repeat business. I do get a lot of other things there as well. Rice papers, DIY paints, waxes. You see me use a lot of that stuff, and there is going to be a lot of that in this video. So take a peek. Now, I'm using resin. This is just a casting resin that I got from Amazon. I prefer the Amazing resin over this, but in any event, resin is resin. So I kind of pulled this one out a little bit early. You see here that the stem was still, a little bit, it hadn't set up yet. I thought what I thought was that I could pull it out early enough. It got too manipulated there. So I just pulled the stem off, and it still looks good. Still looks like, a decent grocery store reject pumpkin. I love those. I love all of them. What I thought was I could bend the mold while it was still not cured. Now you can do that with Amazing resin. You can't do that with this one. I also, as you can see there, it's a little yellow in the middle. I tried warming it up with my heat gun, and all I did was just burn myself, and it never got hot enough. So we are going to improvise. We're going to load this up with E6000 and some hot glue, and we're going to have to tape it, and we're going to have patience. The same way I had to do with the tuna cans and the tuna can and the glass candlestick. I didn't have a choice. So patience is a virtue, right? Well, I had to have some. So you're going to see me put some clips on here because wherever there is contact, that E6000 is not going to let go. Hot glue obviously is not going to work on a tin can. I mean, it will temporarily or, for the short term, blah, blah, blah. So in any event, load it up with whatever adhesive you feel fit. Now, with that same mold, you saw me pour other things. I mean, the pumpkin is the main event here, but here I am. I'm just going to cut all of the other little pieces. Now, I did pour extras. I only gave you that short little bit to sit there if you wanted to watch me pour all that resin. It was a couple different things. So you got these cute little, they remind me of almost like, I don't know why, but in my mind, I saw those little puffy ball flowers as yellow. Then there's some wheat stalks. There's some fall leaves. And I just took a bunch of these things and I kind of snapped off some of the stems here, pushed them in there, and then I arranged them and I glued them to both around the fronts of both of those tuna cans. Now, we're going to come back a few days later because, as you might know, I had a sciatic issue because apparently I now have those. I mean, I had one 12 years ago, got through it just fine, but now this is my other side. It was pretty bad. I'm able to do it. So this has sit for a while. We're going to untape everything. We're going to start working on this project. I have DIY paint in the color B-board. Again, I get this from miltonsdaughter.com, all of my DIY paints. This one is watered down because I had a little bit left in it. This is a watered down version. Now I'm taking this is a chalk paint brush I got from Amazon, I believe. And And again, if I ever say I get something from Amazon, I have an Amazon link in my description and also in my pinned comment below. Anything you see me, I've got off Amazon, you can find in my Amazon shop. Actually gives me a little bit of a incentive. So I get a tiny little kickback from that. So it helps me out. But at this point, then I do stippling all over the front and the back. Do you see the texture I'm going for? Because again, this is going to take a few coats. It's a little watered down. I believe I did maybe 2.5, almost 3 coats. When you start doing this dabbing or pouncing or stippling motion, almost like you're doing a stencil all over, I'm looking for a texture in the paint to where it almost looks like stucco or sand. Now with the white one done while it's drying, I'm now doing the tuna cans in black. And so we are going to, sorry, excuse me one second. There we go. We're going to wait for, again, we waited for everything to dry. We took these off. Again, this has been cut to 2 weeks later after I did this. So they're not going anywhere. I promise you that. And with these, I'm going to use Little Black Dress. So this is not a watered down paint. This one is the full on, very thick pigmented. So this one did not take many coats. And on this one, I did, I went in with the brush to make sure I got in all those little nooks and crannies and all those little tiny spots there with the black to make sure, because again, we want to cover up all the white resin. We want to cover up the tin can. And then also I have the glass base. And DIY paint is a very good solid chalk base. Clay-based paint. It's not a chalk paint, but it gives such a good texture and a good finish. I love this paint. Now you have to seal it. It doesn't have a sealer, but that's okay. And as you see, I'm still doing the bouncing or the pouncing motion all over the bottom of the can and the candlestick itself, all over everywhere. Now, let those dry. We're going back here. I'm sorry I'm jumping back and forth, but this basically one solid project. I didn't realize I could make a 46-minute video out of these two things. But hey, let's have fun and give you way more information than you probably need. But I know a lot of you are here and you like the details, so I'm giving you the details. Now for this one, I took Summer Crush. That's also a DIY paint. And I have stencil brushes here, little tiny ones, because I didn't want to go in brushing it. So I am doing a stencil. I'm still going in with that pouncing or the bouncy pouncy. It's almost like a Tigger. All the wonderful things about Tiggers. Or is that I'm bouncing and pouncing all over the pumpkin. Now, it dries a very nice, light, pretty color. But, I mean, again, you ever wonder why when you start a project, you see this thing, this full image is gorgeous, by the way. But by the time we're done, it's covered up. I put some texture into it. I put another paint color on it. I put wax on it, and then I covered some of it with burlap. Now, again, take these stages. Look at that dried color, by the way. Look at it. It's a light, chalky, beautiful pumpkin orange. Oh, just makes me want to squeeze it. It's so cute. Anyways, so this right here I'm using is just an acrylic paint. I think it's milk chocolate or something. I don't know what it is. It's just an acrylic brown stem. Just pick a color that makes you happy and go with that. So this one I'm just doing here, but then I'm going to take some of the excess here at the last minute, thinking that I'm an artist, and I'm going to put it into the creases around the pumpkin. Just want to make sure that it gets some depth, and then I kind of go a little bit crazy with it, but it is what it is. It's cute. I did some shadowing, and then what I end up doing later is, guess if you've been with me for any amount of time, I'm going to dark wax it. So yeah, it does. It's there. It's all subtle. Everything I've done in stages, it has its purpose, and technically isn't always 100% covered up, but it's all there for anyway. So again, you could stop there, but I won't. So now I'm going to mix some clear wax and dark wax. This is also DIY goodies, get from miltonsdaughter.com. I am going to take it off onto the side here. I'm going to put a little bit of clear wax in the lid of my dark wax, because we don't want to put the dark wax in the clear wax, obviously. So I'm going to put some clear wax over here, and then I'm going to take my actual wax brush, which it's a stencil brush, but I've decided this one has been assigned my dark wax brush because you can see by the bristles it gets stained that color. So I am going to take the clear wax and I'm going to mix in just a little bit. I'm going to dab my brush into the dark wax there, boop, boop, just a couple times, just picking up just a little bit. And then I always put my wax and I dab it off into the lid of the actual container. So here I'm just mixing it together. So this is technically a lighter mixture than it would be if I used solid dark wax. A lot of times if you just go in with the dark wax, you might end up getting something a little bit darker than you want. And you're going to see here, I even make my own little oopsie here, so I think I'm going really light. I did not get enough of this off, so I thought, let me just pounce it all around here and get some of it off the brush. Everything's going fine until right there. Now I've just smeared it. So I said, okay, at this point, we are going to go farmhouse junkyard. You know what I'm saying? Tin can farmhouse junkyard shabby chic beautiful happiness. How's that? Again, if you have any idea of how things go with me, I just kind of name it as we go. There's no specific one style. There's no specific one flavor. You just pick what makes you happy and go with it. So I'm going to name this farmhouse junkyard happiness. Wall pocket with a punky on top. There we go. Farmhouse. I love that. Farmhouse junkyard happiness. Wall pocket with a punky on top. I have to remember. I said I'm not going to remember that. Now, anyways, after you put all that all over, we're going to use this crocodile. This is a scrapbooking tool, and I love using this to, see here, this little part here, makes wonderful hole puncher for crazier, thicker items. So obviously we're going to put holes inside of a tin can. You can also use this on hard ply. I've used this to make holes in, the resin plate chargers or anything else that would be thicker. Something better than paper. This is the best thing to use. And even though I've seen another YouTuber, there is a bigger crocodile than this one. So I might have to look into it because it just means you can put a hole in further on the project. This one doesn't give me much clearance just yet, but it does the job. So my next idea was to kind of cover up the bottom of this. I'm going to put a little skirt on her, and I chose to get some of my black burlap out. This is a 6-inch wide black burlap. I've gotten it at Hobby Lobby for a while. That's one of their staples they carry year round. I'm not going to fold it in half. I'm going to fold it like that. Again, I couldn't tell you what the measurements are. It's just something that makes me happy. So I kind of just wanted to measure, is this enough to cover just the bottom of the punky? And then I'm going to make it look like maybe a scarf, or kind of like, how when you tie your sweatshirt around your waist because when you wake up it's really, really cold, but then like by 11, 12 o'clock it's really, really too hot, and then by 4 o'clock it's cold again. So you tie your stuff around your waist. Yeah, that's what we're doing with our wall pocket. We're pretending that it's not quite fall, but it is fall, but it isn't. For me, by the way, guys, it's 64 degrees here where I live in Las Vegas, and it's wonderful. I'm loving every second of it. Now, we are getting all the crazy wind that we normally get, but still, it's beautiful. So for me, I'm just wearing that sweatshirt constantly. But for my wall pocket, she needed a cute little scarfy sweatshirt hoodie thing. So we're making it out of burlap. And I'm realizing now that I'm jibber-jabbering on about this burlap feature on this thing. I'm just making up a story about sweatshirts. It's just, yeah, it's cute. Anyways, moving on. All I did was, what I'm doing is I'm connecting it on the edges of both sides because I'm basically going to seal in the bottom as though it is like another pocket around it. But, the way this came together was just pure, literally, I did not plan this. So you're watching this happen. My mind is doing this as I'm going. So I need to tack it down. Yes, there's wax on there. But you know what? That wax, that hot glue is holding that burlap there. It's not having an issue sticking to anything. So maybe the heat was able, because again, the wax is not dry or cured by any means. I literally just went from one step to the next. So you're watching me make this as, in the stages I'm making it. This now, at this point, I'm not waiting for anything to cure. That wax features for sealing and stuff it could take up to a week or so. I'd have to read the label again for it to fully cure, but it does eventually fully dry. You don't have a tacky feeling when you touch things that you sealed with the wax. It's just in the beginning when you use the wax, yeah, of course it's sticky and you're going to see fingerprints if you put a lot in there. So I think maybe the heat from the hot glue maybe kind of melted it to the side. I'm not sure, but that burlap is stuck there. It's not going anywhere. Now here, I'm just trying to figure out, excuse me, a little bit of how to curl this almost to like I want it to look like the collar of a really pretty blouse, but it's burlap on a farmhouse junkyard wall pocket with a punky on top. So anyways, I'm trying to put a little bit of fancy with a little bit of junk, and I love it. I don't know what it is. I love tin cans, guys. I love making stuff out of tin cans. It adds that little bit of again, recycled junk turned so beautiful you would never know. It's so cute. Now this here is a burlap rope that I got off of Amazon. I'm going to take it and I'm going to unwind. It has 3 strands to it. So I'm going to undo the strands. I'm going to use far, get all the little fuzzies off of it. And I'm going to take one of those strands and I'm going to feed it through the holes that we put in the can just on each side. I have a wooden bead here. Now I have a bunch of beads I get off of Amazon, but this particular one came off of a Dollar Tree wall hanging. It's just, take a random wooden bead whatever makes you happy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it as a stopper per se. And I'm just going to tie a knot, just a really plain knot right on the end. I'm going to pull the bead towards the knot and then I'm going to pull the rope back through. So the basically looks like the bead is the stopper. I cut off the extra little, frayed piece, and then I kind of frayed off the edge too to make it look cute. And that's literally how I'm going to hang it. I don't want to do anything fancy. At first I was going to tie them up around themselves and put the bead on top. Yeah, it got way too confusing. So I was like, no. And then also I couldn't feed more than one strand of that burlap or rope through the bead itself. So my original plan would have needed a bigger bead and a lot more to it because I'm going to stuff it full of baby's breath from Hobby Lobby. So it's not like it's a feature that needs to have that much energy put into it. So I kind of calmed it down. But trust me, this one little tin can has so many steps. And then also so do the other ones. So please bear with me. If you love the steps and you love the process, just, halfway through, tell me, hey, I'm still here. I'm going to take what's left, residual dark wax that's still on my brush, and I'm just going to kind of go over the beads, give them their aged so that they match. That way they don't look like a brand new bead. And then basically that's the pocket itself. That's the hanger. Now I'm going to decorate our pocket. Now I have some ribbon here from Michael's I got a year or two ago. This is some grosgrain that I just got from my buddy that lives in Maryland. She lives by a ribbon factory and she sends me discount ribbon, 50-yard rolls of this beautiful stuff. So this is, I think it's an Offray, however you say that. Anyways, that's a quarter, half-inch wide grosgrain and a half-inch just beautiful fall plaid. It's just beautiful colors. I am cutting a random amount. I can't give you a measurement. Just do what you feel is right. If you cut too much, maybe leave extra tails. Not sure. Now, the best way to do this if you don't want to hold it is you're going to have to make an awareness ribbon. I put little dabs of glue everywhere, and you can see here where I'm putting these dabs. After you bring the cross section up to the middle of your top of your loop, you got cute little bows. And you see here, this is probably maybe the easiest way I can show you because a lot of people have said, as soon as I let it go, I can't hold all the bows. I can't hold all the ribbons in my hands. Or as soon as I let it go, I get an issue. It falls apart. I don't know where I was holding it. I do it either way. I've found myself, it's faster for me if I just hold them in my hands, but if it helps you, this is a better way. You can actually take a break, walk away, come back. Now, if you see here, moving on to these two, this is the other two strands of the burlap rope that we unwound for the hanger. Now I'm going to take the loose ends and you're going to see me kind of move them together to get just a little bit here of a tail on each side. And I'm going to take the loop, I'm going to twist it. First I'm going to twist it and then bring the end into my thumb. If you need it, rewind, take a peek and look at it. We're basically going to then pinch everything in the middle and it kind of gives you the idea that you have a bundled bow. I also like the fact that after it's unraveled, it has that cute little wavy effect, kind of like when I was little, I really, really wanted curly hair because, if you have straight hair, you always want curly hair. And if you have curly hair, you want straight hair. So again, I've always had very, very straight, fine, thin hair my whole life. Never could keep curl in it. I would braid my hair. My grandma would give me what they call spit curls. Yeah, I'm sorry if that's nasty. My grandma was from Indiana. That's just what we did. She gave me spit curls and anything I could do. That's what my hair would look like when I take braids out. So I was just like, looks like a little girl's hair when you undo the braids. That's cute. You know what I'm saying? Tell me stories you come up with. Like if you see something, it just kind of, while you're crafting, it just takes you back. My grandma used to curl my hair for me. Anyways, we're going to take, all of those together, bundle them, and then, as of course I jibber through it, I'm going to take a piece of jute twine and wrap it around the middle, glue it. I tied a knot on the back, and then the tails were a little long, so I glued the end of the tails to the back and then cut those loops, so now I have 4 tails. And that's just me not throwing away things. I could have cut that off because all I did was use it to tie everything together to bundle the middle of the bow, but I didn't want to. So instead of getting rid of it, I made it look like it had tails. Extra tails, because we already have the tails from the grosgrain and the plaid ribbon. Here we're going to secure it right down in the middle. Now that's going into the burlap, and of course it's going to sink into behind the burlap because of the holes in it. You saw me take my extra here. Now I'm going to dust it with, again, whatever's left in that brush. There's lots of stuff you can do with your residual wax in your brush, and unless you're leaving your brush for a week or so, that wax in there is still usable. Now I have these picks here, these cupcake picks I got at Dollar Tree last year. I'm just going to cut one of them pretty short, and I'm going to tuck this cute little acorn feature in right here behind the bow because I think it's so cute. It's so cute. I love these little cupcake things. You go take a peek at that stuff in the different aisles of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that they make for confectionery, for cakes and things like that. Even the wedding aisle is a good place to look. Look for these places, supplies that you wouldn't normally say, okay, this is not a crafting supply. Well, I mean, it is. This is made out of wood. Why wouldn't you want to add it to something? You could also use this in card making too. If you heat up that little stick and the glue gets warm, the stick will come out. You can put that on cards and all kinds of stuff. Now, guess what, guys? I went to get buttons. Now, I have an entire bag of orange buttons because remember, I did a little carrot feature thingy earlier this year for Easter. And so I have a bunch of yellow or orange ones. Now, again, I did get injured, so I didn't get to attack my projects I wanted to this year for fall. I was going to do a pumpkin one out of buttons. So stay tuned. There'll be pumpkins next year, button pumpkins. Now I'm just going to tuck buttons in. I also have a box of buttons right here that I got. These are all natural buttons and natural wood buttons that I got from Amazon. Also, this orange bag of buttons also is from Amazon. Most of my larger chunks of buttons are Amazon. I have a collection because I'm obsessed with buttons, but what I did was I'm going to take them and I'm going to layer them and I'm going to tuck them in and around the project. When I did that for the little glass pumpkin that has like a sweater texture to it, I think it was 1 or 2 videos ago, I lost my mind with how cute it was. I was so... it gave me such a happy feeling. And that's what this is about for me. It's like, I love to make these things. I love these little details. I love spending the time creating, tucking this here, putting that in there. And then, when you get that proper placement and you're looking at your project and you get that happy, warm, crafty, squishy feeling, then for me, that's what it's about. These buttons do that for me, dude. And I know a lot of you agree. A lot of you have mentioned before that you do the same thing with buttons. You just like sticking your fingers in them. And it's just fun. Now that's the pocket. I put the buttons in and I'm done. Nothing else. Now we're going to fill the pocket. The pocket itself is adorable. Now you could put anything in here too. You could just hang it on the wall and put stuff in it. You could put supplies in it, pens. You could put keys in it. You could put all kinds of stuff in it. We're obviously going to put flowers in it because I like that. But styrofoam. I cut a chunk. We're going to need to cut this in half a little bit shorter because I need it to go lower. So I needed to get the thickness right first. So that's the proper thickness, but I now need it to be, more shallow. It's too deep. So I'm going to cut maybe about an inch off of that. And then once I get this in here, you're going to see this is the perfect placement because I need to put Spanish mouse on top. And then with that, I'm going to put the baby's breath in it. Now, I am using hot glue. More than likely, this is probably not going to stick for the long term. I'm fine with that. It's cute. It doesn't matter. And it won't be being, tossed around or football or anything like that. It's decorative. It will sit there and be beautiful. That's about it. Smush that in there. Let's get our Spanish moss to cover up the top of it. I just grabbed a little handful from my box. I mostly get it at Hobby Lobby. I've been getting the brighter colors and different colored ones from Amazon, but I still get my big bags of Spanish moss from Hobby Lobby. And just tuck that in on either side. And again, this is cute the way it is. Now from here, you can do whatever you want. I am going to go with this gorgeous creamy gray color baby's breath from Hobby Lobby. Got it. I think it's $5.99 a stem, but it's worth every penny because of how it gives that feel. It's just gorgeous. I love it. It comes in different colors too. I actually have a really dark olive one too. So about the fall colors this time around, but I will be getting some white and stuff like that. I love this baby's breath. So I am gluing this in. This is a permanent thing. That's why I believe the styrofoam itself won't pop out, but even if it does, all of this is connected and you can just glue it back in. If you want, go ahead and push in there some of your other adhesives, some more permanent adhesives. I could have put some E6000 in. I didn't. Now I'm just taking these at different heights and I'm just going to load it up. I used 2 full bundles and I got them at Hobby Lobby when all of their florals were 50% off or 40% off. Every other week their florals go half off. So if it's not on sale when you're there, come the following Monday and you will then get the sale for the same stems. So this is in their stem section, not like their bushes and bundles and stuff. This is their stems. This too is also from Hobby Lobby. This is a fall featured item. It's in their fall aisles with all the other picks and punkies and stuff. It's just a white berry, but I love the light colored leaves there. The leaves just spoke to me. I saw that from across the room because I was just only going to put baby's breath in here. And then, it evolved, of course, guys. I mean, we don't have a plan. Sometimes there's a plan, but I hardly ever stick to it. So that's all that matters. Now, I tuck all these goodies in and just needed one more little thing of berries here and then made my heart happy. And I love this. I walked around the house holding it up against different things. Oh, hold on. I think I had one more space. Yep. Add another piece right over here. I walked around and had just a great time looking at this thing. And I'm thinking even on a bigger level. So if we can get bigger cans if you can get a bigger tin can. I know you can get larger coffee cans, things like that. Now, I had a little chip here on the stem that was bothering me. Either I didn't get it to begin with or what, but in any event, I just used a little stylus. I call that a dotting tool, like a dotter maker. And then I just dabbed a little bit more of that acrylic paint that we used to cover up that little oopsie on the stem. And look how cute. Again, walked around forever, sent pictures to my mom, my sister, my friends online, my husband. I was like, look at this. This looks great in your room. Looks good in the bathroom. Looks good on the car. It just, that was just a little ham with it. But look at it. All the buttons are tucked in. And then I added that little bit of baby's breath right there, right above that last button. I'm not sure that if I showed that, but that's glued to the burlap and the button, so it's not going anywhere. We don't have to worry about the wax that we applied. The texture on the can makes me so happy. Yes, you know it's a tin can, but it looks like there's some sort of like stucco-y effect to it, or a concrete stucco look, and I love it. I absolutely love her. She's so beautiful. Farmhouse junkyard wall pocket with a punky on top. Tell me your thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you love her? I love her so much. Now we're gonna go to our two tuna cans. Here they're all dry. We got our paint dried on them, and now we're gonna do some little feature. Here's all the colors I got. These are all acrylic paints. They're all just little squirts of acrylic paint. Couldn't tell you the colors because it doesn't matter. Just pick whatever makes your heart happy. I went with the fall theme. So remember I said for some reason these things reminded me of yellow flowers. So I went with yellow on the little ball thingies. I did put yellow on the weed on here, but you'll see in a minute, this gets really messy before it gets pretty. So if you struggle, like I do, with painting things, I say that I can paint if it's a solid color. I've been trying to force myself to do certain things lately. Now, so you see here the yellow is starting to turn into mud, but I wanted to keep things a little bit here and there. So I'm just, again, I should be cleaning my brush off, which is why this looks like mud, but it doesn't. Then I added purple to them. I don't know why. That'll be fixed later. This particular one here, I did the right thing right here with the wheat, and I did brown. Now, I have already taken a break, cleaned my brush, and came back. And then I go back to that smaller one, and I fix my oopsies. So I've got the orange and the red and that deep purple that I want on the leaf, and I've got the brown on there. Mixed them in, highlighted them. I'm very happy with the colors, with the greens on the stems and everything. So now I'm going back in and I'm just kind of touching up all of my, sloppy parts, just to make it look cute and pretty. We're going to distress it, but I'm actually going to use cinnamon this time, guys. I've never used cinnamon, and it was a little bit of a learning process because I didn't want to use Mod Podge because Mod Podge turns shiny. Even the matte Mod Podge turns shiny, and I didn't want that kind of mess. But I did want cinnamon, and I want it to look like rust. And it smells so good. So I just tapped in here, and I cleaned it all up. On the one can that's not on the candlestick, our plain standalone can, I got the crocodile back out, and I put holes on either side like we did to our wall pocket. So pop that right through the tin can on each side. So you got these perfect little holes. Ta-da. And now I'm going to use this coiled wire. I got this at Michael's. That's Ashland. So I got this at Michael's. It's a really pretty coated wire. It's coated with some sort of like wooden tree barky type stuff. I'm not sure what it is, but it's pretty. So I cut a section of it, and then I'm going to coil it and turn it into like one big tendril. I'm going to tie it. Basically, this is what I do with my pumpkin tendrils. I'm going to wrap it around a glue stick, and then keep going till you're at the end, and leave just a little bit on every end because this is what we're going to use to, feed that through those holes we put on the can on either side, right? Now, this was a little bit tricky, and I didn't want to mess it up. It probably is a little bit too long because it just looks like a big coily arch. But in any event, I'm going to stick one end through the hole in the tin can. I'm going to bring it up, and all I'm going to do is wrap it around itself once, and that's it. This isn't a weight-bearing item. The handle's not functional. I mean, it is to a degree because the item doesn't weigh that much. But if you put something in here, if you end up weighing it down with rocks or any type of heavy objects, you're not going to use this handle. It's not that strong of a wire. But again, this is all for decorative purposes. So secure that around the way you want. The end of it did start to fray a little bit, and I just cut off with scissors. You'll see me do that once I get the second one done here. So it's one of those things where, yeah, it gets bent a little bit. It's not too bad. I'd be mindful. I was very mindful to make sure that I didn't uncoil them or squish them too badly. And so now on the second side, I'm feeding it all the way through, pulling it up and around itself. Now, if your wire is thinner, you're not going to want to go with a thinner wire, honestly. You're going to want to go, even if you have a softer wire, that's fine, but the thicker the wire, the better for these types of projects. And then again, just turn it on itself. I'm using some needle nose pliers to just kind of turn it in on itself. And then with what's left here, I'm going to squish it in between the pliers and then just take some scissors and cut off all that extra little fuzzies because it's fraying on the edges or on the end of it. And then there you have it. You have it. You're going to put some stuff in here. It's going to cover up those edges if you want, or you can also put Spanish moss around it, all that good stuff. Now, guess what I'm going to do? Here's our sealing process. Now, I didn't dilute this. I just put full dark wax on it. So on the solid parts, just go at it. You can see how your coating and your coverage covers the paint. When you get to the front, I was going very lightly at first before I would wipe it off. Now, you're going to get a lot of color. It's not going to be bright. If you want to keep it bright, use clear wax. Or just use very, very small amount of dark wax. But I was really going into it. I wanted all the little deepest parts of those details to be aged, and that I'm very happy with how it turned out. Now we're going to do the same thing here. Now you see the bright yellow, the bright purple and orange. That's pretty, but for what I'm going for, rusty, dark, aged, dirty, vintage, worn items. This is what I like. I like stuff to look old, so I buy new stuff and make it look old. Now, again, this time I wanted to try the cinnamon. I wanted rust so badly. So at first, again, I finished sealing all this because we did use DIY paint. And I used a chip brush, and I thought maybe I'll just dab this into the wax because the wax is obviously definitely not dry. Well, it didn't turn out the way I wanted, so I had to get some dark wax over here because, again, I'm using a lot of cinnamon and I don't want it to get mixed up into the pot of actual wax. So I took some dark wax out with a little putty knife here. And when I was wiping off the extra with the paper towel, I said, this is probably the best thing for me to dab it back on the can with. So I'm making sure that the new spot here, you can see it looks wet. I'm making sure that this is fresh wax, then putting the cinnamon in it. Now, it might be good to go back and do this anyways because it's only for certain accents. I'm not putting solid cinnamon all over it, right? So just do dabbing, add some cinnamon, dab a little bit more, add some cinnamon, and then at some point I do take that chippy brush, I pick it back up, and through the process of elimination, I figure out what's best, and I get the look that I'm going for. And I will show you at the end, once we're done filling in some goodies here, that this stuff does dry. It doesn't come off. I didn't have to put anything over the top of it. It's stuck into the wax once I put the extra wax on. It's stuck into it, and once it cures, it's good. It becomes part of it. And of course, it makes your project smell so good. Now, there are some sealers, spray sealers for metal. There's weather defense. There's all kinds of good ones. You could probably do that if they have a matte finish. I thought about using that, but then I was like, again, these items are staying indoors. They're not going outdoors. There shouldn't be a reason for it. If you still are nervous and don't want anything to fall off of it, or if you're still concerned you want it to, in any event, to still secure it, then go ahead, use Mod Podge or use something like that, a decoupage medium of some sort. I would try to make sure it's as matte as possible because unless you're going for shiny, but I don't like the shiny stuff, so it's up to you. Now for our cans, we're going to do the same thing we did with the pocket, and we need to cut some styrofoam to fit inside. Remember, I like to make my goodies a little bit more shallow than the top of the can because I want the Spanish moss to fill it up, but then also items will need to sink down below that. So I put some E6000 in here because these girls are definitely permanent, and then I'm putting some hot glue with that in order to get some dirt and some. So again, we're going to do that standard, the standard lines and text that we always do. Hot glue for short term and E6000 for long term hold. Now, taking some Spanish moss, we're going to nest it all around. The messier, the better. I love this stuff. I absolutely love it. And the messier, the better. It just doesn't bother me. It's part of it. Now, this little guy here, I'll show you. This was a video or two ago. This is from Dollar Tree. It's a little hanging decor item, I believe. Yeah, it says wall decor. So there's the leaf portion of it, and I'm painting this with some chalk paint. This is an older paint. I was just going for a grayish putty color, like almost cement. And then now look at this. This is not the new release. This is from the previous one. It's IOD rub-on transfer here. Now again, this is still available on miltonsdaughter.com. I chose a couple little transfers from here, and I'm going to decorate them I'm going to put them on the leaf. Now you're going to see me I have two main items that we're going to put in each one of these little tuna can arrangements. And it's like Did I go too far? Did I put too many details in it? Again, this is what made me happy. This is what I wanted to do. It was part of my project. Crafting gives me a lot of calmness and fun. So this is just what we do. So this is also the process of how I made it. So again, this is what I'm doing for you guys to make sure you guys see and give you all the steps. So we're going to do rub-on transfers from IOD, very good quality. Now again, this stuff needs to be sealed. The paint I use there doesn't need to be sealed because it's just some old one-off brand paint, but it's a good idea to seal your transfers. So again, if you notice, I didn't open the dark wax. This is just what's left in my brush from using it from the rest of these projects and all the you know, the tin cans. So I did the edges. I did lightly go over the middle. And now I'm going to make this cute little tiny bow. This I'm tying like you would tie a bow for your shoes. It's just a regular shoelace bow. And I'm going to make it small enough. I'm going to get all the little edges here. I had to really speed this up because literally, who wants to watch that? So also use some fire, get the fuzzies off. And again, little tiny details. That's where my happiness is. That's where my heart lies. And let me tell me what you think at the end. It's like a little collage of all kinds of goodness. Now that was to cover up the hole in the top of the leaf because it was a wall hanger or something like that. This is a popsicle stick or craft stick that I used some stain on a while back. It was left in my stash. I had a couple of those. So I'm going to use this as my pick or my stick to make it. Because again, we're going to put it through the styrofoam that we added to our tuna cans. So I'm just going to secure that down on the back. And I'm going to make a little pick out of it. So I cut them in the V shape in order for them to bite hard enough into the styrofoam we're going to stick them into. So again, all I did was just made a little pick on the back. And you don't see it anyways. Now for this guy this year, we have two little wonderful things. Now, the problem here is, guys, I lost the footage for my little punky here. This guy. This is a Dollar Tree 3-pack pumpkin clip. This is what they look like now. I got mine on a cardboard little stack thing. All I did was put dark wax on it. Again, what was left in my brush. I put a small little bundled jute bow and a pipberry tendril on it. And that was just wrapped around a small paintbrush handle. That's all I did to that. And I am upset that I missed the footage for it. So please forgive me. There's so much here. And I guess apparently maybe I just didn't hit record when I thought I did. Human error. Dang it. But it's so easy. Literally, I didn't unwrap it. It's the same stem that it comes with. I didn't paint it. I just put some wax on the outside and added those goodies to it, and then put a old leftover piece of floral stem in the bottom to turn it into a pick. So those are our main pieces for our little tin can pocket. Well, not really pocket. This is just like, what do you call this? Little arrangement collage. It's still a floral arrangement. It just has other pieces in it. Now, this is a remnant left over from some sort of pick that I've had for a while. I'm not sure where it came from or what season it was, but it had cute little yellow flowers on it, so I chose it. I'm tucking that all around, and then some of these are leftover Michael's daisies. I've got a lot of Dollar Tree eucalyptus back there. You can see on the table. That's Dollar Tree eucalyptus, and those are green Michael's daisies. And I am just taking these fall colors and I'm tucking them in. And then more of that beautiful Hobby Lobby baby's breath. I can't get enough of it. And here, all this eucalyptus is Dollar Tree. And again, cutting them into pieces, cutting them shorter, using the tips on some parts and using the bases on other, tucking more baby's breath in where you see fit. And again, if you've seen anything from me before, this is where do I shine? Do I say I tend to shine? I love tucking in little accents and pieces everywhere. For me, it's in the details. It's all these little tiny things. Like if you sit back and look at something, you might see something new every time you take a peek at your project, you'll see something new. It's one of those things. And then here I'm just kind of like twirling that little tendril around to give it a curl. What do you think? Now, aside from this, you don't even need to make more projects because again, we already put all the stuff and the resin on the outside. Just put some flowers in it. Or leave it empty and put candy in it, but you need to paint the inside because you can see the inside of that tin can. Now, if you saw here, for our next one, this is those Dollar Tree styrofoam mushrooms. Got some dark wax. Again, what was left in the brush, and I just aged it enough so it's not so bright yellow. But look how cute. I thought the yellow was great. And now because there's a seam in that styrofoam that bothered me, and then the wax brought out that seam. Look at that seam. You can see the seam so clearly after you wax it too. I mean, it's there even before you wax it. I mean, it's like, I don't like it to scream, yes, I'm a fake styrofoam mushroom, even though it really is. So I just used my jute twine. You can get some at Hobby Lobby. I got mine from Amazon. Just used jute twine and I covered up the whole seam. I just glued it all the way around. And then I made a cute little bow again. So after I cut this off with the excess here, I made another cute little shoelace bow. So just like you're going to tie your shoes, you're going to make a tiny little shoelace bow real fast. Zip, 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 zip. And then same thing before. Once you get the little loopies and the tails where you want them, I used fire to, look how cute it is. I used fire to get the fuzzies off. And then I did that with the same thing. Got the fuzzies off here. I prefer no fuzzies. Most of my projects, I prefer no fuzzies. If you're making something very, very shabby, leave fuzzies. But I prefer no fuzzies. And then glued it back onto our little mushy. Got some extra glue on there, but we'll pick that off. And when a glue is like mediumly, is that a word? Mediumly, halfway solidified, it's really easy to pick it off of projects. Wood, obviously this is styrofoam, other projects. And see, this is what I did with the pumpkin too that you missed out on. I just took an extra, I saved those little stems from floral pieces, took a piece of it, poked it in the bottom, and I turned it into its own pick. I'm basically making them into picks so that it'll bite into the styrofoam we're going to put it into. This little package of ornaments are all these little wooden ornaments I got from Amazon. It says here, 36-piece outdoor blah, blah, blah decorations. These are considered ornaments. So everything has a hole in it, but really cute ones. You see here, Hello Fall. There's punkies in there. There's a leopard pumpkin. So cute. There's also like a truck and some other stuff. This little sign says pumpkins and hay rides. I'm going to go with this Hello Autumn one for this one. All these, again, these are just great little accents to do. You can put these on cards. You could put these on presents. You could put these on tags. I have these in my stash because these things make me happy. So at first I was about to go crazy with the wax, which I should have. I don't know why I randomly had, just a brain moment that's like, stop, glue the bow on. And then you do the wax again and then end up pulling on the bow. Finish the wax first. I figured what I needed to do was make sure I glued it on before I put wax on it, because again, wax and glue do not like each other. We will force them to live together, but they do not like each other. I'm dusting this wax on. If you can see here, it gives just enough of a shadow effect that it's aged. That's all I'm doing, is I'm giving it some sort of small amount of detail. Now, here's the leftover piece from our fall leaf from the first project, and I'm just taking the bottom part of that. I'm going to glue that to the back, and you can see where I cut the V on the bottom of the other one and make this one into its own little sign. So we can tuck this one in also to our cute little bucket. Well, this one's the one with the handle on it. So first we'll start with our cute little mushroom that we made. Tuck her in just here in back left corner. And this is what it's like. I get the same feeling when I'm packing up Easter baskets, or I'm putting together just baskets in general. If you've ever made a gift basket for somebody, whether it's like a housewarming or any type of other theme. But the only thing I keep remembering is like Easter baskets, when you're making Easter baskets for kids, or my mom used to make them for me, how you have to stage things and get like double-sided tape and all that kind of stuff. This is like the best kind of little happy floral, home decor collage, whatever makes your heart happy. And of course, because it's the season, makes me even happier. So the yellow daisy looking things I popped in there, I believe those are from Hobby Lobby. But then I'm using the same accoutrement that we used on the first one. I'm using the same florals and eucalyptus and baby's breath from Hobby Lobby, and then tucking the different colors of eucalyptus all around. I'm gluing things to each other. I'm gluing them to the back of that sign. I'm gluing them to the other flowers and so on. Now, this little 80-piece, look at these. They are so adorable. Look at a little pumpkin. They got a little fat round pumpkin. And got a little squishy pumpkin. They're cute. They see me shaking. It's like the happiness is ridiculous, you guys. The punkies are cute. So these are like little resin pieces that I got here to just glue into things because they make me happy, and then also hide them all over the house so that my husband periodically finds a little pumpkin somewhere and smiles. I did put that in his office. I'm like, look at all this, all these Legos and Oakleys and a pumpkin. So I put some dark wax on the top. And again, I needed to fill this in because I didn't put enough in here. Now there's styrofoam going, but not to the edge. And the pumpkin was getting lost in there. So I took a little bit more Spanish moss and I kind of rolled it in my hands like you would, dough. And I made a little ball out of it so that it can support the pumpkin. I'm putting my hot glue on the bottom of this little resin pumpkin guy. And it's glued into all of that Spanish moss. It's not going anywhere. And again, like I said, you'll know. And then I'm going to tuck a little bit more around it because to me, what I had rolled, it looked a little bit too uniform. I need it to look a little crazy, a little, naturally there, because it naturally appears in a tin tuna can. So here I'm taking little pieces of baby breath, tucking it around. And then here I had the wonderful idea also to take one of the little buds of baby's breath and just kind of cover up that extra little bit. When I took that extra glue off of that bow on that mushroom, it kind of took the yellow color off just a bit, just a tinge. But what do you think? It's like a little collage bucket of happiness. Oh, I want to squeeze it. It's so cute. I want to squeeze it. And look at this. See this? Doesn't come off. This, again, I did most of the other stuff and then I had to wait because of I had a little, back injury, but I'm doing great now. And look at it. It gives me that perfect little rust I want. Now, I prefer more rust. So I think what I'm going to do is the next time I attempt this, I'm going to just mix the cinnamon in with the paint. So it's going to get messy. So I have to use like a chippy brush I don't care about, but because I want more. But I like this subtle dustiness, dusty rustiness. Look at those guys, those buttons. Oh, those are not buttons. I'm sorry. The bundled jute bows make me happy. I should have put buttons in this. I could still do that. No, I'm not. Calm down, Whitney. Calm down. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on these. We've got, the tin cans. We've got the resin pieces from that beautiful IOD mold, Autumn Cottage mold. We've got, extra little pieces here and there. We've got the Hello Autumn sign, the mushroom. In the other one, we have a pumpkin and we have a fall leaf. We have a lot of stuff going on. So pretty. So pretty. And I got, I had to put a pumpkin in everything. Even the one at the bottom that didn't have a pumpkin in it, I found a way. I put that little resin pumpkin in there. I got my pumpkin in. There's a pumpkin in every single one of these. There's only 3, but still. It applies. It's a thing. Oh, also you can see down there right underneath at the very bottom, I put another baby's breath bud down at the bottom. There's a lot of times too when I see stuff left over on the table, I'm not throwing it out and I don't want it to get lost in a drawer. So I'll just tuck it in and glue it to things. But that's it for today. Tell me what you think, guys. Now, I have a coffee page. A lot of my DIYs will be for sale. I'm trying to list more and more things, and I really need you guys to help me out. If you like my videos or you feel like you've learned something, you can throw a donation there for support, but you could also purchase an item and then get something that I've made that you like, and it still supports me the same way. In any event, not required, always appreciated, and I'll love you no matter what. So with all that being said, I love you guys more than I can possibly say in words. You are my fuel, and I appreciate every single one of you. Many hugs, happy crafting, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.